Hello everybody, it's me Ninjaz, and today in Victory Command we're going to be taking a look at the Striker. The Striker is one of the basic units that everybody starts with, so as you start the game for the first time you're going to have the Dune Runners, the Jacks, and the Strikers. So we're going to take a look at these guys today, and as you can see I've unlocked a lot of stuff for these guys. So these Strikers are a basic anti-tank unit. They lob rockets, and they do pretty good damage against tanks. They pretty easily get shredded up though by things like the Dune Runners or the Grunts and some of the other minigun or machine gun type units. So when you're playing, you're going to want to keep away from those kind of guys. The sidekicks can do some damage to you. The Dune Runners can do a lot of damage to you, and those will probably be your biggest threat when you're playing. And then there's the Grunts, and they can do quite a bit of damage too. Now the main purpose behind the Strikers is basically to play the anti-tank role. You're going to want to be going around the map, finding out where the tanks are and blowing them up. And the other point with the Strikers is if you're not running around hunting down tanks, you probably want to be just basically camping on the capture points, or at least sending a guy to cap on the capture point and then have the rest of your guys up on a vantage point, which I do quite often and it works quite well. But you want to be protecting capture points or tank hunting, and that is basically the two roles that these guys do. So that's about it for a real explanation. I mean, they're pretty straightforward unit. So we'll just take a look here at what we've got for my setup. So I've got the standard Alpha Squad here I'm using. Their basic ability is suppression, and as you can read right there, it slows down the speed at things that can turn, slows down their attack speed, and slows down their movement speed, and lasts about 15 seconds. And it's good to pop this on somebody if you don't want them to leave, say, a target range, or you're worried about them getting out of, the firing line of your allies or yourself. You can drop that on them. It also sometimes comes in handy if you need to escape. Just drop it on some enemies that are chasing after you. It'll slow them down a little bit. It's not a huge slowdown, but often it can be enough to get away. Not to mention, it slows down their speed at attacking, which means you're even more likely to get away with less damage. The secondary ability that you get, at least for the Alpha Squad, is the High Explosive Bombing Run. This is one of those ones where you click to designate a point and then click in a line, and it will basically just drop a bombing streak down that line. And it's pretty much, this is only good against tanks, and I guess it's okay against recons and stuff as well, but basically you want to use it against tanks. Don't waste it on infantry because it does very little damage to infantry. It can be kind of scary though. Now my additional forces I use mostly Strikers. I like to keep the core unit pretty well set for their purpose. I want to do a lot of damage to tanks, so I don't want to replace too many of these guys with other units. I've popped in a couple of Grunts here just to help me in case I run into other infantry units, especially other Striker units. This will happen quite frequently because the Striker is a very popular unit to play. So I put a couple of Grunts in there. It gives me the ability to fire while I'm running with the Grunts, as well as they do a little bit more damage against rival Strikers. And then, as par for the course here, a combat surgeon to help heal up my guys. I spend quite a bit of time sitting on vantage points, firing off of them, and in part that's because you get a bit of a range bonus for your weapon when you're shooting from vantage points. You can actually shoot a little bit further with the Strikers. So you'll spend quite a bit of time sitting somewhere. And another reason for that is because the Strikers cannot fire and move on their own. They have to kind of set up their weapon. It's not quite as extreme a setup as like the assassins or the javelins or the rainmakers, but they do have a little bit of a delay when they stop moving before they can fire. So the good news is, though, they don't have to pack up. They can immediately just run away, unlike the other companies here. They don't have to pack up their weapon first and move. They can just immediately start running. So that's good if you need to escape. Now for the perks I've got 2 loadouts here. And the second loadout is basically just for survivability. It's just straight resistances. That's for if I get in a situation where I don't have any tanks up to go up against, and it looks like I'm basically going to be a useless unit in the game. I put on as much damage resistance as possible. So that's about all there is to that one. I won't go into that. The one I normally use here is, given that my main nemesis is going to be the heavy machine guns from the Dune Runners, I put on the heavy machine gun resistance. I've got the killing blow perk, so that enemies with 35% or less health, I do a bonus 25% damage, which is a pretty significant amount. Counters to healing, plus 25% damage to anybody that's healing. So once again, kind of taking advantage of the assumption that enemies are going to be using that regen perk. And then last, I've got the brush damage boost. It's plus 15% unit damage, or damage when the unit is in brush. This is not the ideal skill here. What I'd really like to put in is the javelins have a skill here that's a damage boost when you're in a vantage point, and I am trying to get that one unlocked. I would really like to use that in place of my bush damage boost here, but that's what I've got for now. So if I'm in the brush, I get additional damage boost. So that's how I've got my units set up. So like always, let's take them out into the field and see what we get. Okay, what do we got here? So I've got Vonka there. That is a weakness. I've got one tank here I can fight against pretty well. This is the flame tank, and oddly enough, it's saying that I'm not weak against them, but generally you want to stay away from the flame tanks. They will hurt you. This guy here, this is the sidekick, he's probably not going to be too big of a threat. More than likely, he's going to try to avoid me as much as I don't really want to get into contact with him. And more than likely, he's going to be scattered all over the place anyways, if he's doing it right. So I'm going to take the speed boost drone because I'm slow and I really want to get around the map fast, so that is what we will do. I'm a little worried here because our assassin did not click in till the... well, they didn't click in, so they got clicked in by default because they waited too long. So I'm a bit worried that we're going to have an AFK error.
Yes, sir.
One thing you got to be careful about when you are playing with these guys is, given that they are kind of slow and they are pretty weak against machine gun fire and such, you want to have an escape route. So, for example, this is a pretty nice vantage point to be firing off of. Unfortunately, though, it comes with the weakness that there's only one way in or out of there. So if the enemy is paying attention, they can box you into that.
3, 2, 1. Let the games begin.
That being said, we're gonna try
Reporting.
to take it.
Heading there now.
Also, given the fact that you've got a 12-unit squad here, I generally find it to be pretty acceptable to just take a couple of units and send them off to cap objectives and other little points of interest.
Enemy progress paused. Allied point gain started. Allied progress resumed. Allied progress paused.
And the javelin's set up there.
Yes, sir.
He's got that locked. I'm gonna send him up there. He's locking that down. Good. And Vanka is keeping all of his guys together. And he just went into the wrong place. Javelins are good against sidekicks. And then here comes... And then this is where we suppress everybody. And oh, look at the slaughter.
Progress paused. Allied progress resumed. Allied progress paused.
Reporting.
I'm gonna stay over here and get on top of this guy.
Enemy progress paused.
Get him as much as possible. Oh, look at that. Oh, and I'm losing that unit. Unfortunate, but he did manage to cap and lock the point.
Reporting. Heading there now.
That was...
Yes, sir.
That was a very painful move on their part.
On the move.
And here they come. They lost another one. Oh.
Reporting. Heading there now.
So, he's got that locked down. I'm going to get him out of there.
On the move.
Since there's no real benefit to him staying in there while it's locked.
Yes, sir. Heading there now. Reporting.
So I'm going to pack up. It looks like he's moving too. I'm going to send my entire force up here.
Yes, sir. Heading there now.
Enemy
On the move.
progress resumed.
Take one
Reporting.
of these
Heading
guys.
there now. Yes, sir. On the move. Bombs away. Reporting.
Now that I've got this comlink locked down, we
Yes,
can
sir.
see the enemy's location, which helps him out because he's got the range to pull off hitting that guy. I think he's just stopped paying attention.
Reporting. Yes, sir. Reporting.
Just waiting to see if I've been spotted or not. So I'm gonna send this guy over here.
Yes, sir. Reporting. Heading there now.
Have him chill out in the bush there.
Yes, sir.
Oh, he's been spotted.
Reporting. On the move. Heading there now.
He's getting low in health, so all of that bonus damage is going to pay off.
Yes, sir. On the move.
Okay. Let's send these guys over here.
Reporting.
And I'll move a grunt around to take a look.
On the move. Yes, sir.
So Ivanka is still getting around.
Heading there now. Reporting. On the move.
Come up here and take a... Well, somebody's capping it, so we're not going to take it, but we're going to contest it.
Progress paused.
Hello. So if you hold down I, you can actually, wherever your mouse cursor is, you can choose to make a specific notice. So I'm telling my team I've got a tank over there.
Allied progress.
They can see him, but it plays that noise and stuff and pops up on the mini-map. It might help.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, my ability's not working there. Come on.
Reporting. Heading there now. Yes,
I'm
sir.
gonna take the grunt up
Reporting.
there. Given that I'm going after a tank, it makes more sense for me to leave the grunt up top and send the other rocket trooper down just to
Heading there now.
maximize my damage.
On the move. Yes, sir. Reporting. Yes, sir. Heading there now. Great, we'll blow this target away.
And he is out of there.
On the move.
This, VSE Vold, I don't know how you pronounce that. Vzevold? We're working pretty well.
Reporting. Heading there now.
This is probably being capped by one of the, sidekicks.
Yes, sir. On the move. Reporting.
So we'll leave that grunt there, and we're going to send these guys over here. Normally, I would be pretty bad against a sidekick, but he's taken some massive losses, and he's the only one left. So, it doesn't really pose that much of a threat.
On the move.
Allied point gain 50%.
We've pretty much got this in the bag. I don't think they're going to be able to come back. They suffered some massive losses.
Yes, sir. Heading there now. Reporting.
So while I've got the opportunity, I'm going to go send some guys to cap this
Yes, sir.
stuff.
Heading there now. On the move.
And looky here.
Reporting. Heading there now. On the move. Heading there now. On the move.
Just dancing around him.
Heading there now. On the move.
Get him over there.
Yes, sir. Target locked. Heading there now. On the move. Reporting. Heading there now.
Oops. Didn't mean to take out that.
Point gain 90%.
On the move. Yes, sir. Reporting. Heading there now. Yes, sir.
Alright.
Reporting. Heading there now.
And that's that. Didn't get to do a whole lot of tank hunting except for right there at the beginning. We hit those guys really hard, that was just brutal. Absolutely brutal. And I loved every second of it. Hey, and I made MVP. Wow. By quite a lead. Although part of that's just from recapping because I had a couple guys sitting on points. But yeah, again, big unit, you can usually spare 1 or 2 guys to go off and cap points. I often use the grunts that I threw in to go do that if it looks like I'm not going to be bothered by other units that the grunts would be good against. So you kind of have to mix and match. So I kind of, in that sense, was trying to go and do a little bit more tank hunting at the beginning, and then it kind of just switched over to sitting on points towards the end. But that's basically what you want to do with the strikers. So, as usual, guys, I'm not exactly the foremost authority on playing the strikers. Far from it. There are a lot of other players out there that play a lot better than I do, and they would probably even say that I'm not doing it right. Who knows? But that's how I do it. There's some ideas and suggestions for you if you want to play the strikers. Give it a go. They are quite a bit of fun to play. You know, despite being one of the basic units that kind of gives this stigma of them not being as good, the strikers are a pretty solid unit. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a like, comment, or subscribe. Let me know what you think about stuff. And as always, I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.